An 8-year-old boy walked into a biker bar with a loaded gun and asked one question: "Who is my father?" His dying mother told him the answer was among the Red Devils. What happened next changed everyone's life forever. Sometimes family isn't about blood. Sometimes it's about choice. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The sound of motorcycles filled the parking lot of Red Devils bar every Saturday night. Inside, leather jackets, tattoos, and the smell of motor oil mixed with cold beer. This was the home of the Red Devils Motorcycle Club, a group of bikers who had been riding together for over 20 years. It was a cold November evening when everything changed. The door swung open, and a small figure walked in. Everyone turned to look. It was a boy, maybe 8 years old, wearing a worn-out jacket and dirty sneakers. His brown hair was messy, and his face was pale and scared. But what made everyone freeze was the gun in his small hand. "Which one of you is my father?" the boy asked. His voice shook, but he kept the gun pointed forward. The entire bar went silent. 20 tough bikers, men who feared nothing, stared at this child holding a weapon. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. "I said, which one of you is my father?" the boy repeated, louder this time. Tears filled his eyes, but his hand stayed steady. Marcus "Bull" Thompson, the president of the Red Devils, slowly stood up from his seat. He was a big man, 6 feet tall with gray hair in a ponytail and arms covered in tattoos. But right now, he moved very carefully. "Son, put the gun down," Bull said in a calm voice. "We can talk about this." "No," the boy shouted. "Not until someone tells me the truth. My mom is dying, and she said my father is here. She said one of you Red Devils is my dad." The words hit the room like a punch. Every man there had a past. Many had relationships they didn't talk about. But a child? A son? "What's your name?" asked Tommy "Snake" Rivera, the club's vice president. He was shorter than Bull, with a snake tattoo running up his neck. "Michael." "Michael Anderson," the boy answered. "My mom is Sarah Anderson. She said she worked here 10 years ago as a waitress." Several bikers exchanged glances. They remembered Sarah. She was a kind woman with a bright smile who had worked at the bar for one summer. Then she disappeared without saying goodbye. "Where is your mom now, Michael?" Bull asked gently. "County Hospital, room 314, Michael said. His voice cracked. "She has cancer. The doctors say she only has a few days left. She won't tell me who my dad is. She just gave me this address and said to come here." Bull's heart sank. A dying mother. A desperate child. This was serious. "Why does she want you to find him now?" Snake asked. "Because when she dies, I have nowhere to go," Michael explained. Tears ran down his cheeks now, but he didn't lower the gun. "Child Services wants to put me in foster care. But Mom said my real father would take care of me. She said he's a good man, even if he doesn't know about me." The room was heavy with emotion. These were tough men, but they weren't heartless. The thought of this boy going into the system, alone and scared, affected all of them. "Michael, I need you to do something for me," Bull said. "I need you to point that gun at the floor. Nobody here wants to hurt you. We want to help." "How do I know you're telling the truth?" Michael asked, suspicious. "Because Red Devils don't lie to kids," said a voice from the back. Everyone turned to see Jake "Hammer" Morrison standing up. He was the enforcer of the club, the one who handled trouble. He was covered in scars and looked dangerous, but his eyes were soft as he looked at the boy. "We don't," Hammer continued, walking slowly toward Michael. "And we don't let kids get hurt. Not ever. That's our code." Michael looked at Hammer, then at Bull, then at all the other faces watching him. Slowly, very slowly, He lowered the gun until it pointed at the floor. Bull moved quickly but carefully. He walked over and gently took the gun from Michael's hand. He checked it and his face went pale. "It's loaded," he said quietly. "Mom taught me how to use it," Michael said. "She said the world is dangerous and I need to protect myself." Bull handed the gun to Snake, who put it somewhere safe. Then Bull knelt down so he was at eye level with Michael. "You're very brave," Bull said. "Walking in here like that took courage. Now, we need to figure out who your father is. Do you have anything that might help? A photo? A name?" Michael reached into his jacket and pulled out an old photograph. It was wrinkled and faded. He handed it to Bull. The photo showed Sarah, 10 years younger, standing with 5 bikers outside the bar. They were all smiling. It was clearly from a summer barbecue they used to have. Bull recognized everyone in the picture. 4 of them were in this room right now. The 5th one was David "Axe" Carter, who had died in a motorcycle accident 3 years ago. "Do you know who your father is?" Bull asked, studying the photo. "No," Michael said. "Mom wouldn't tell me. She just said he's one of them." Bull looked at the 4 men in the photo who were still alive, himself, Snake, Hammer, and Pete "Ghost" Williams, their treasurer. "Guys, come here," Bull called out. The 4 men gathered around. Bull showed them the photo. They all remembered that day. It was the last time they saw Sarah. "One of us is this boy's father," Bull said quietly. "And we need to find out who." "DNA test," Ghost suggested. He was the quiet one, the thinker of the group. "We can all take a test. Results come back in a few days." "We don't have a few days," Michael interrupted. "Mom says she has 2 days, maybe 3. And Child Services is coming to the hospital tomorrow to talk about my placement." The situation was urgent. They needed answers fast. "We'll figure this out," Bull promised. "But first, you must be hungry. When did you eat last?" Michael thought about it. "Yesterday morning, I think." "Lucy." Bull called to the bartender. "Get this boy a burger and some fries. And a soda." As Michael ate, the 4 possible fathers sat together at a table, talking quietly. "I don't remember," Snake admitted. "Sarah and I talked a lot that summer, but I don't think we ever." "Same," Ghost said. "We were friends, but nothing more." Hammer was silent, staring at the table. "Hammer?" Bull asked. "I remember," Hammer said slowly. "Sarah and I, we had something. It was brief, maybe a week. She was special. Then she left, and I never knew why." "Did you ask?" Snake questioned. "I tried calling," Hammer said. "She changed her number. I thought maybe I did something wrong. I thought she just wanted to forget me." "What about you, Bull?" Ghost asked. Bull sighed. "Sarah and I spent time together too. She was different from anyone I'd met. Smart, funny, didn't judge us for being bikers. We had a connection. But she left suddenly, and I respected her decision." "So it could be you or Hammer," Snake concluded. "Or Axe," Bull added. "If he was the father, the boy still deserves to know." Michael finished his food and came back to the table. "Did you figure it out?" he asked hopefully. "Not yet," Bull admitted. "But we will. Michael, we're going to do the DNA test. All of us. But in the meantime, you're not going anywhere alone. You'll stay with me." "Really?" Michael's eyes widened. "Really," Bull confirmed. "Red Devils take care of their own. And if one of us is your father, that makes you family." "But Child Services," Michael started. "Will have to deal with me," Bull interrupted. "I've dealt with worse things than social workers." That night, Michael slept on Bull's couch. The leader of the Red Devils lived in a small house on the edge of town. It wasn't much, but it was clean and safe. The next morning, Bull took Michael to the hospital to see Sarah. She was in bed, thin and weak, but her face lit up when she saw her son. "Baby," she whispered. "You found them." "Mom, they're good people," Michael said, holding her hand. "They're helping me." Sarah looked at Bull, who stood in the doorway. "Marcus," she said. "It's been a long time. Why didn't you tell me?" Bull asked, moving closer. "If I'm his father." "I don't know if you are," Sarah interrupted gently. "That's why I couldn't say. I was with two of you that summer. You and Jake. I left because I was confused and scared. I didn't know who the father was, and I didn't want to cause problems." "You should have told us," Bull said, but there was no anger in his voice. Only sadness. "I know," Sarah said. "I made mistakes. But I gave Michael a good life. I loved him enough for two parents." "I can see that," Bull agreed, looking at the boy. "He's a good kid. Brave. Smart. Will you take care of him?" Sarah asked. Tears ran down her face. "Whoever his father is, will you make sure he's okay?" "I promise," Bull said. "All of us promise. He's a Red Devil now, even if he's just a kid." Sarah smiled weakly. "Thank you." Over the next 2 days, the bikers took turns visiting Sarah and spending time with Michael. They all got their DNA tests done at a local clinic. The results would take 5 days. But Sarah didn't have 5 days. On the 3rd day, she passed away peacefully with Michael holding her hand. Bull was there too, and so was Hammer. They both wanted to support the boy, regardless of who his biological father was. The funeral was small. The Red Devils all attended, wearing their leather jackets with respect. Michael stood between Bull and Hammer, crying quietly. He looked so small and lost. After the funeral, the social worker approached them. "Mr. Thompson," she said to Bull. "We need to discuss Michael's placement." "He's staying with me," Bull stated firmly. "Are you a relative?" the social worker asked. "We're waiting on DNA results," Bull explained. "I might be his father. Until we know, he's in my care." "That's not how this works," the social worker said. "He needs to be placed in a licensed foster home until—" "No," Michael said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. "I'm not going to strangers. My mom said my father is one of them. I'm staying with them." "Sweetheart, I understand you're upset," the social worker said gently. "But the law—" "The law can wait 3 more days," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see a woman in a business suit approaching. She was carrying a briefcase. "Who are you?" the social worker asked. "Jennifer Martinez, attorney," the woman said, handing over her card. "I represent Mr. Thompson and the Red Devils Motorcycle Club. I've filed for emergency temporary custody on behalf of my client, pending DNA results." "On what grounds?" the social worker demanded. "On the grounds that the deceased mother specifically indicated that the biological father is among this group," Jennifer explained. "DNA results will be available in 2 days. Until then, my client has the right to care for a child who may be his son." The social worker looked frustrated but backed down. "Fine. 2 days. But if the DNA proves he's not the father, Michael comes into state custody." "Understood," Jennifer said. After the social worker left, Bull looked at the lawyer. "How did you know to come?" "Snake called me," Jennifer said with a small smile. He explained the situation. "I help the club sometimes with legal issues." "Thank you," Bull said sincerely. Those 2 days were strange for Michael. He stayed at Bull's house but spent time with all 4 possible fathers. Each man tried to connect with him in their own way. Bull taught him about motorcycles, showing him how engines work and letting him sit on his bike. A motorcycle is like life, Bull explained one afternoon in his garage. You need balance, control, and the courage to keep moving forward even when the road gets rough. Michael listened carefully, absorbing every word. Bull showed him how to check the oil, clean the chrome, and respect the machine. My mom said bikers were dangerous, Michael admitted quietly. Bull stopped working and looked at him seriously. Some are. But danger isn't about what you ride or what you wear. It's about what's in your heart. We choose to protect, not to harm. Snake taught him card games and told him funny stories about the club's adventures. One evening, while teaching Michael poker, Snake shared stories about the club's charity rides. People think we're just tough guys on bikes, Snake said, dealing cards. But every Christmas, we deliver toys to kids in hospitals. Every summer, we raise money for veterans. We ride for causes, not just for ourselves. Michael's eyes widened. Really? Really, Snake confirmed. Your mom knew that about us. That's why she trusted us with you. Ghost showed him how to fix things, working together on an old radio in the garage. Ghost was a man of few words, but his actions spoke volumes. He patiently taught Michael how to use tools, how to identify problems, and how to solve them step by step. Life breaks things, Ghost said quietly, soldering a wire. People, relationships, trust. But everything can be fixed if you're patient and willing to try. Michael watched Ghost's steady hands bring the old radio back to life. When music finally played, Michael smiled for the first time since his mother's death. And Hammer, the scary-looking enforcer, turned out to be gentle with Michael. He taught the boy how to throw a baseball and helped him with his homework. One evening, Michael asked him about his scars. Hammer sat down and spoke honestly. I made mistakes when I was younger, he admitted. Got into fights, hurt people, hurt myself. These scars remind me of who I was. But they also remind me that people can change. He looked at Michael seriously. If I'm your father, I want you to know something. I'm not perfect. I've done things I'm not proud of. But I will give everything I have to be the father you deserve. Michael reached out and touched one of the scars on Hammer's arm. Mom had scars too, he said softly. From being sick. She said scars mean you survived something hard. Hammer's eyes filled with tears. Your mom was a wise woman. Why are you all being so nice to me? Michael asked one evening. They were all at the clubhouse, eating pizza. Because you're one of us now, Bull said simply. DNA or no DNA, you walked into our bar and became family that night. But I pointed a gun at you, Michael said quietly. You were desperate and scared, Hammer said. You did what you thought you had to do to survive. We respect that. We're bikers, Snake added. We know what it's like to be on the outside, to have people judge you. We don't turn our backs on people who need help. Michael looked around at these tough, tattooed men who had become his protectors. I hope one of you is my dad, he said softly. We already are, Ghost said. All of us. Finally, the day came for the DNA results. Bull, Snake, Hammer, and Ghost all met at the clinic. Michael was with them, nervous and excited. The doctor came out with an envelope. The results are ready, she said. Bull took the envelope. His hands shook slightly as he opened it. Everyone watched him read the paper. His expression didn't change. Well? Snake asked. Bull looked up at Hammer. It's you. You're Michael's biological father. Hammer's eyes went wide. He looked at Michael, who stared back at him with hope and fear mixed together. I have a son, Hammer said slowly, as if testing the words. Then louder, I have a son. He moved toward Michael, then stopped, unsure. Michael didn't hesitate. The boy ran to Hammer and hugged him tightly. Hammer wrapped his big arms around the small boy and started crying. These tough bikers watched their enforcer, the man who scared criminals and fought in street brawls, cry tears of joy over a son he never knew he had. "I'm sorry I wasn't there," Hammer said. "If I had known." "It's okay," Michael said. "You're here now. That's what matters." The legal process moved quickly after that. Jennifer helped Hammer file for custody. With DNA proof and no other relatives to contest it, the court granted custody. Michael Anderson became Michael Morrison, officially Hammer's son. The judge, a stern woman named Margaret Foster, called both Hammer and Michael into her chambers before making the final decision. "Mr. Morrison," she said, looking at Hammer over her glasses. "I've reviewed your record. You have a history of violence and arrests." Hammer didn't flinch. "Yes, ma'am. I made bad choices when I was younger. But I've been clean for 8 years. No arrests, no fights. I work as a mechanic and I volunteer at the Veterans Center." The judge turned to Michael. "Young man, do you want to live with Mr. Morrison?" Michael stood up straight. "Yes, ma'am. He's my father. And he's a good man." "How do you know that?" the judge asked. "Because he tells me the truth," Michael said. "He doesn't pretend to be perfect. He shows me who he is every day. He helps me with homework, makes me breakfast, and talks to me about my mom without getting sad or angry. He makes me feel safe." The judge studied them both for a long moment. Then she smiled slightly. "Mr. Morrison, I'm granting you full custody. But I'll be checking in. If I hear any reports of trouble, we'll revisit this decision." "You won't hear any trouble, Your Honor," Hammer promised. "I give you my word." And he kept that word. But that wasn't the end of the story. The Red Devils made sure of that. They helped Hammer move from his small apartment into a proper house with a yard. They all pitched in to buy furniture for Michael's room and clothes for school. Bull became Uncle Bull, Snake became Uncle Snake, and Ghost became Uncle Ghost. Michael went back to school and told everyone his father was a biker. Some kids thought that was cool. Some parents were worried. But Hammer showed up to every parent-teacher meeting, every school event, and every baseball game. He proved that being a biker didn't make him a bad father. The first parent-teacher conference was memorable. Hammer walked into the school wearing his leather jacket with the Red Devils patch. Some parents stared. Some whispered. Michael's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, looked nervous. But Hammer sat down politely and asked about Michael's progress. "He's a bright boy," Mrs. Patterson said carefully. "But he's been through trauma. Sometimes he seems distant in class. What can I do to help?" Hammer asked. Mrs. Patterson blinked, surprised by the question. "Well, reading together at night helps. And talking about feelings." "We do that," Hammer said. "Every night before bed, we read together. And we talk about his mom, about missing her. I don't want him to hide his feelings." Mrs. Patterson's expression softened. "That's wonderful, Mr. Morrison. Many parents don't do that." By the end of the conference, Mrs. Patterson was smiling. Word spread among the teachers and parents. The scary biker was actually a devoted, caring father. At Michael's first baseball game as part of his new school team, the entire Red Devils club showed up. 20 bikers in leather jackets sat in the bleachers, cheering loudly for Michael. When he hit his first home run, they all stood and roared with pride. Other parents were shocked at first, but then they saw how happy Michael was. They saw these tough men high-fiving the boy, celebrating his success like he was the most important person in the world. One mother approached Bull after the game. "Are you all related to Michael?" she asked cautiously. "We're his family," Bull said simply. "Not all by blood, but by choice." The woman smiled. "That's beautiful. My son could use uncles like you." From that day on, the Red Devils were welcomed at school events. In fact, he was a great father. He helped with homework, made breakfast every morning, and always tucked Michael in at night. The scary enforcer became a devoted dad. On the first anniversary of the day Michael walked into that bar, the Red Devils threw a party at the clubhouse. There was cake, presents, and all of Michael's new extended family. "Make a speech," Snake called out. Michael, now 9 years old and much happier than the scared 8-year-old who had appeared that night, stood up on a chair. "A year ago, I was lost and scared," Michael said. "I thought finding my father would solve everything. But I found more than a father. I found a whole family. The Red Devils taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about people who choose to care for you, to protect you, and to love you." He looked at Hammer. "Dad, thank you for being the best father I could ask for." Then he looked at the others. "And thank you all for being my uncles, my family, my Red Devils." Everyone cheered and raised their drinks. Bull walked over and put his hand on Michael's shoulder. "You changed us, kid," Bull said. "We were just a motorcycle club before. Now we're something more. We're a family." "You were always a family," Michael corrected. "You just needed someone to show you." Bull smiled. "Maybe you're right." As the party continued, Hammer stood outside with Michael, looking at the night sky. "Do you think Mom knows?" Michael asked. "That I found you? That I'm okay?" "I think she does," Hammer said. "Your mom was a smart woman. She knew we'd take care of you. She knew that even if we didn't know which one was your father, all of us would be your fathers if needed." "I miss her," Michael admitted. "That's okay," Hammer said. "I miss her too, and I only knew her for a short time. But she gave me the greatest gift, you. And I promise I'll make her proud." "You already have," Michael said. Inside the clubhouse, the celebration continued. Music played, stories were shared, and laughter filled the air. The Red Devils, once just a motorcycle club, had become something deeper, a true family bound not by blood, but by choice and love. And it all started the night a little boy walked in with a gun and a desperate question: "Who is my father?" The answer turned out to be bigger than anyone expected. Michael didn't just find one father that night. He found an entire family of protectors, mentors, and people who would stand by him no matter what. Years later, when Michael was old enough, he would get his own motorcycle. On the back, he wore a leather jacket with a special patch. It read, "Red Devils, Chosen Family." Because that's what they were. Not related by blood, but connected by something stronger, the choice to care for a child who needed them, and the love that grew from that choice. And somewhere, Sarah Anderson smiled, knowing her son had found exactly what she hoped he would: a home, a father, and a family that would never let him go. The end.